Let's have this conversation now. Gender activists are slamming a GBV awareness poster issued by the office of the KwaZulu-Natal Premier. Now, the poster bears the slogan, and I will try, Asinga Babuli, Asiba Tande, Sibape Imale. I think this translates to, let us not kill them, let us love them, let us give them money. Now, the Hlanganisa Community Fund for Social and Gender Justice says the messaging is tone deaf. Let's discuss this further with Hlanganisa's board chair, Lebogang Ramafoko. Lebo, good morning. Thank you so much for your time. What was your first reaction when you saw this GBV awareness poster?
Thank you for having me. My first reaction after 35 years of doing this work was utter disgust and disappointment at a message that comes in from a government that uses public funds in a province that has one of the largest cases of GBV. After so many efforts, including an NSP on gender-based violence that has had many players in the sector come and draft it because of the scourge of GBV. It is tone deaf. But not only is it tone deaf, it reinforces stereotypes that are steeped in patriarchy about masculinity. Because if you read the message, it looks like it is directed at men, and it is speaking about them giving women love and giving women, money. And just to give you an example, this Social Employment Fund of government supports one of the projects that Hlanganisa is implementing of the Sisterhood Advocacy Program. This is a program that allows women, paralegals and women to support the minority of cases of women who report GBV. And research is abound. Experts are abound, processes are there, and activists have offered it to government as a resource that government can use. And money has been used so much in transactional relationships that expose young women to HIV and AIDS. Women speak about how money is controlled, whether children are supported or not. And so this very patriarchal trivializing of the experiences of women really firstly makes a mockery of the NSP. It makes a mockery of gender desks that have been there for more than 30 years that must ensure that messaging is relevant. But it also plays into very toxic masculinity. Interesting that your previous conversation was around social media, because some of these, we see them in the post of Ndoda must, etc. That really plays on very deeply entrenched misogynistic and patriarchal ways of looking at women as just recipients of money, where a woman can be bought a drink and expected to have sex with a man just because they accepted a drink from a man.
You've touched on this a bit, but I want you to expand. What does this campaign, in your view, reveal about government's grasp of the severity of gender-based violence? There's clearly a disconnect here between this messaging and what's going on the ground, in our homes, in our communities.
I wouldn't even call it a disconnect. I would call it a lack of appreciation of this problem. And having done this work for so many years, I also think that this lack of appreciation of this issue is because there is no political will. Women had to fight. The NSP came about because women had to fight. The total shutdown forced government to convene women. Women stood and spoke about their experiences of abuse. There is simply no political will. And I say this because there are processes. How many gender desks have there been? There is expertise in this country, research expertise, strategic communications, so communications for social change. Projects like Soul City have shown how you craft messages that are sensitive. There is ways and processes in which you can do this work. So
let's stay on that. My apologies. Yeah, my apologies for interjecting there. I want you to stay on that thought then. In your view, what kind of public messaging actually helps to shift attitudes and to protect women?
It's messaging that understands the structural and cultural and systemic nature that puts messages at risk. If a message is for men, it needs to question some of the views and the values that they have. A message that would have basically gone should have been a message that is also researched, a message that tests for unintended consequences, a message that speaks to some of the beliefs that are held about women only being there to be given money to look pretty, a message that challenges men feeling that they own women and they own women's behavior. It's rampant in society. We can't speak of one thing in one level, and it exists. I think my frustration is that it exists. These messages exist, these professionals exist.
What are you calling then for now from the Premier's office? His face is on that poster, and my apologies, I see it was spelled wrong in the introduction. It is actually Asinga Babulali. Asibatande, let's give them money. Sibape Imali, let's give them love rather than let's give them money. The Premier's face all over this campaign there. What's your expectations now from the Premier's office, and what needs to change going forward?
The Premier needs to retract this poster. The Premier needs to apologize to victims of violence. The Premier needs to engage experts and make sure that there are processes. I don't know how many hands this poster passed before somebody thought it is worthy to be out there. It is also disappointing that for many days on social media, until Hlanganisa Community Fund and its partners wrote the letter to the Premier, that the KwaZulu-Natal government on social media was defending this. I think they need to read what is in the NSP. I think they need to call on other experts. We can't be doing this work for communities, but have governments, if this was done by a communications department, who are not hiring people who know the process or at least have the expertise about what is GBV. This is unacceptable, and there must be some accountability of sorts. If I was a self-respecting government which is committed to women in this country, to ending GBV, this poster would not even exist, and an apology would have been taken to women, or at least the humility to sit down with activists to understand why this cannot happen. Not in 2025, not in South Africa, not ever, not when women have paid with their own lives, not when you've got a social employment fund that recognizes the gap in making sure that the very few women who report cases are not supported, and it is putting money. It is almost like government is continuous scoring its own goals where GBV is concerned. You can't support a program that recognizes the value of economic empowerment for women, and then thereafter you have a poster like this.
All right, we'll hear what the provincial government there has to say. Thank you for your time. That was Hlanganisa Community Fund for Social and Gender Justice Board Chair Lebogang Ramafoko speaking out against that GBV poster issued by the office of the Premier in KwaZulu-Natal. It basically translates to the messaging behind this poster, translates to let us not kill them, let us love them, and yes, where the problem comes in for these activists, let us give them money. Alrighty.